Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BVI Pilots. Glad to be here with you guys. And today, or this evening rather, we have a guest, Andy. You've heard him before if you've listened to the podcast that we do, which is BVI Pilots Podcast. You can also find that on Apple as well. Before we get started, we remind you to tap on that subscribe button. Join us here at BVI Pilots. There's a lot happening kind of quickly too, to be honest. So anyway, we got a guest and we're going to talk about a few things. Before we get started though, we'll go ahead and say hello to Andy and let Andy say hello and all that good stuff. Just in case they don't know who you are, you can just give a short introduction if you want, Andy. Andy, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you.
Hey, how's it going?
Can't complain.
Yeah. Yeah. So hi everybody. In case you don't know me, I am Andy. I am a blind simmer, just like most of the people in the BVI Pilots group. I came in probably around March or April, I think. So I had learned about some of the accessibility issues and things going on with Flight Simulator, and I actually figured out that there were, from Sarah actually, on a totally unrelated list that you could flight sim as a blind person. So I started looking around into it and, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. So I got involved and found out that a guy by the name of Jason Fair had created this accessibility platform that will actually read your instruments of your airplane for you with text-speech screen readers. For those of us who use them, you know what they are. For those that don't use them, screen reader is basically a text-to-speech synthesizer that will audibly read things to you that are on your screen. So I had found out that existed, and I used it for a little bit. And then I found out about FS Tramp, the autopilot and flight planner that all of the other blind people in the flight simming world use, and some of the issues that it had, and experienced some of those myself. And I had an idea. I started asking on the group's Discord, would anybody have any objections if I looked into creating something similar, but it'd be accessible instead? And that basically drove everybody up the wall.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
Yeah, it drove everybody up the wall. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So pretty much I'm gonna look into this. Well, Jason got word of it and asked me, hey, since you're looking into doing this stuff, let's merge the stuff together and make one big huge thing out of it. So
Yeah,
we talked about it and we decided, hey, let's go ahead and try it. And it was approved. It was just some ideas, because he was going to convert the existing Python code to C# on the .NET framework, because it will do things faster. And the programming itself, writing the source code, goes a lot faster too. And I've had some experience with that particular programming language, so I'm like, yeah, sure. And the rest is history. And
yeah.
everybody that's seen it so far, they're like turned upside down about it, and in a good way. And the common thing that I hear and see people say is, we didn't think it was happening so fast. We thought it was going to take time. We don't care if it takes time, as long as it gets done right. But they didn't realize it was going to hit off so fast. So
yeah, I think it's moving pretty quickly in a good way, not in a bad way. Sometimes people can do stuff and they do it fast, and it's too fast, and it's done with a lot of errors and all this. In this case, it's going fast, but it's not just broken stuff, like, because that makes a big difference. But
Yeah, no, it does. You need to do things the right way and make sure they're done right. If you can the first time, obviously there's going to be issues and bugs, especially with pre-release software. But
yeah,
um,
well,
when
and
the
you got to
final,
have testers too, people that can give you feedback and say, hey, this is what's
Mhm.
going on.
Yeah, and so and when the final version comes out, it needs to be as stable and as solid as it can be. So
Yeah,
having it come out fast, and somebody else had made a comment, y'all are doing this faster than I thought, and Jason had said, well, it's part of it's because there's two people instead of one. So the more you have, the faster it goes.
yeah, and you guys, just to clear up for people, they're kind of doing they're doing different things at the same time too, right? So like Jason's doing a part of it, and then Andy's got a part that he's doing, so that also makes it to where it kind of moves along a little quicker in some ways as well.
Yeah, so Jason is working on converting the existing talking flight monitor Python version into the C#.NET version. I am working on the user interface, the flight planning, where you can have your flight plan, your SIDS and stars, approaches, finding things in the database that we have, the avionics where you have the gauges, settings, all that kind of stuff. So there's a clear separation of who is doing what, and then in the event that we meet in the middle, then we can work on things together. So
Yeah, yeah,
so like for an example, I have the avionics tab pretty much done. There's a few things that I need to work on, but it's pretty much done, so I can move on to flight planning. And he's working on getting the things to me that I need at this point so I can start pumping into the simulator all of the values it needs in order to control the plane.
right. Which makes, and guys, here in a little bit, we're going to actually talk about Vatsim real quick first, but in a little bit, we're going to hand things over to Andy, and he's going to show you some stuff as well. So stick around because it's going to be exciting. And I want to clear something up. Someone the other day, I was talking to someone, and they said, "Well, good thing that you know the guy created Tramp for us blind people. He did not create that for blind people. Tramp was not created for us. Tramp was just a map thing in most cases, right, Andy? I mean, it wasn't done for the blind. It was done for pilots to use because they do use it for maps, I do believe. So
Yes, so FS Tramp is, for those that don't know, FS Tramp is an add-on that you can get, and it features flight planning tools. So you have flight planner, you can load existing flight plans in .pln format that SimBrief makes.
yep,
P3D and FSX will natively make those flight plans if you use their flight planner tools. So what it does is it's a flight planner and it's an autopilot. So you could create a flight plan, load one up, whatever way you do it, associate your SIDS and stars and all that stuff.
yeah,
And then you could either fly manually and track your progress through the two maps that are shown in the center of the screen, or you could just kick on autopilot. And once you get up in the air, just kick back and relax until your destination airport arrives. Most of the people usually use it for maps. It seems to be the huge focus Because on his maps, you can check boxes to show different things like airways and your SIDS and your waypoints and stars and airports and runways. So, and it has lines that are drawn on the map that show your actual flight plan. You know, the route that you take for your flight plan, and also the route that you may take for your alternative if you have one. But I don't think he supports alternative flight plans. So,
right, and it's probably a good program for sighted people, I would bet. I mean,
oh well, it's definitely good for the sighted people that need a map or want the low cost map and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah,
no,
but I
it's
just wanted
good.
to clear that up because they thought that it was created for us, and I'm like, no, this is this has been out before, like, you know.
Yeah, no, so the reason why it works for us to some degree is because some people in the BVI Pilots community was able to reach out to the developer and request some things to be included or to be spoken a different way or presented a different way. And so he accommodated that request.
Right, which is a really awesome thing that he did that because it, you know, it did give us the ability to fly. And you know, I didn't get to experience the other program, what It's Your Plane, or what. I didn't get to experience that. I came in after that, but you know, I think that this is a program that almost everybody went to because they needed it, you know, at some point. But luckily, we'll eventually be able to step away from it. So I'm excited about that. So
yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Vatsim. Andy, if you want to explain to those that might not be fully sure what Vatsim is, let's talk about that, and then let's go into discussion about ways that we should be speaking as, because you spoke with someone about this, as far as the way that those of us that are visually impaired need to communicate instead of just saying, you know, going to, um, go to runway, yada, 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 due to visual impairment, whatever, reposition, whatever. Because that's how we would say it, right? We would always just say, going to reposition, runway, whatever, due to visual impairment. Well, Andy spoke with someone that actually worked for VATSIM, and that's not the way to do it. So let's talk about that. Explain to people what VATSIM is, and let's go in and talk about a better way that we could be communicating with the centers.
Yeah, okay. So VATSIM is it's an online virtual world of flying where you have people, multiple people that are connected at the same time. Some of them are pilots, some of them are air traffic controllers. And so what it does is it gives the person using flight simulators a chance to experience what it might be like in the real world to fly an airplane, or at that matter to be an air traffic controller of some kind. So instead of just hopping in your plane, loading up a flight plan, hitting the runway and going for it, which you can certainly do offline. There's a client, most of us use something called V as in Victor Pilot, that connects to VATSIM, and that will bring in your air traffic controllers and all that kind of stuff. Now, mind you, these are real people. The air traffic controllers, the pilots, and everything. They're real people. They're not robots. So you can literally talk to them. If you can't talk to them over a mic, then there is something they call Unicom that you can use text. And you can talk to them the way you normally would on voice. You're just typing it out. So that's basically what it is it's nothing more than a virtual world of autopilots. Yeah, it's a virtual world of air traffic controllers and pilots that are flying around at the same time, talking to each other as though
Yeah,
pilots
and
and
given that
yeah.
experience as a pilot, the way that they talk to the airports,
Yeah. So the general rule of thumb is if you're an air traffic controller or a pilot, you have to talk like you are one.
Yeah.
And you follow the language, but it's not
This
as
is a reminder from Puzzle of the Day. Don't forget to play today's puzzle.
it's not sorry about that.
That is awesome, dude. I
Yeah.
love it.
Don't forget
One
to play
of
today's puzzle.
one of my alerts went off with her, so
I love it. I love it. This guy did
yeah.
all kinds of just stuff that just happens around the house. I'll be talking, all of a sudden I hear something beeping and talking to
Yeah.
him. Like, man, he's got it figured out over there.
Yeah. So the general rule of thumb with Vatsim, though, is you talk the language, you follow the rules of general aviation or commercial aviation, depending on what kind of plane you're flying, but you don't get so serious. I mean, you're not flying a real plane. You're not going to kill people if you crash.
Right.
The more of the thing that they focus on there with the rules and guidelines is we're here to have fun. We're here to practice, respect everybody.
Yeah.
Don't do anything to step on anyone else's feet. On the other hand, we are all human and things do happen. You may have a bad day. Your air traffic controller may have a bad day.
I've been
So, yeah, I hear you.
I mean, they want you to be serious with the way you communicate, but it doesn't got to be so serious to where if you mess up, you've just caused all kinds of chaos. 'Cause that's not the case. But
right.
they do take it serious.
Yeah, no, they do take everything on the network seriously, but their main rules: one, have fun; two, respect each other.
Yeah.
And three, the general rule: when you're on the mic, talk as though you're actual pilots or air traffic controllers, because that's part of the whole point, is to give you the experience of real life piloting or air traffic controlling.
Yeah, they don't want you going there and being like, "Hey, bro, I'm about to jump up to 20,000."
Yeah, no.
Could you imagine I would love to see the response to that one. Hey, bro, I'm going to jump up to 20,000 real quick.
Yeah, right.
They would not like that one bit. That would
no.
be a problem. That would not be the
right.
professional way. Y'all don't do that, okay? Do not do that.
Don't. Because, even though they're there to have fun and they ask you to respect everyone and follow the rules, they do also have rules and regulations that could get you booted or banned.
Because people do train on there that might, that actually fly too. They do use it for training as well. So, we got
Yeah, so you may have students that are actually in aviation school that might be part of their homework.
Right. You don't argue on there. You don't cuss on there. It's really just some real common sense. Do you remember back? And I feel so old when I talk about this, but do you remember the day of CB communication?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
It used to be so reckless because you could go on there and you could say anything you absolutely want, and there was never anything, to worry about, whether you was cussing or screaming, whatever. Well, you can't do that on ham radio. So kind of the same idea, there's a certain way you got to do it, and you got to follow that. If you don't, then you don't get to talk on there. Same with Vatsim. Well, with ham radio, you could actually get in trouble if you say the wrong things or if you're on there cussing, but
Right.
Vatsim, they'll just kick you off if you're on there using
Yeah,
it for
just
daily communication.
yeah, just to clarify, legal issues, there really wouldn't be any legal consequences.
Right.
You would just not be allowed on the network according to the rules.
They'd either banned you for a certain amount of time, or if you did something bad enough, kick you completely off. I think in most cases they would probably say, "Look, you messed up, so we got to follow policy. We're going to kick you off for 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever. Don't do it again."
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's no legal actions that come back on you. I mean, unless you was on there threatening somebody or something stupid. But I've never seen none of that occur. So have fun. That's what you do. You have fun. Just have
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yep,
So
pretty much.
let's talk about how we should be communicating as a visually impaired simmer. What?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he actually spoke with an actual controller. So this isn't just me guessing or Andy guessing. This is facts. These are facts.
So, to give a little bit of background, I was in Boston, ready to go to Philly, and generally the rule of thumb is if you need air traffic controllers to pay attention to certain things. So for an example, one of the things we cannot do is to taxi the way they would want us to. So the rule of thumb is you would put in the comment section of your flight plan when you file it, due to visual impairment, cannot taxi to and from runways. Must reposition instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a good idea if you've never been on there before or you've been on there very little to put in there new pilot flying online. That way they know, you're just getting the gist of how things work. That way they don't go barking down your back because you should have known better.
Yeah.
And
definitely just let them know you're visually impaired. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's the general rule of thumb. Now, what I was told is it used to be where people would say they would ask for their IFR clearance. And normally when you ask for your IFR clearance and they'll say, okay, well, it's been approved. Let us know when you're ready to taxi. Well, normally the way it would work is you would say, ready to taxi. And they would say, okay, taxi via whatever to runway, say 4 right. And then you would say something like, well, I need to reposition due to a visual impairment. I can't taxi.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a thing that's been going on that she had told me was there have been issues where it's been brought to the public's eye over the radio that some people are blind or visually impaired, and they were hit privately in because in Vatsim you can send private messages back and forth to each other in text. So some people would be getting like private messages. What are you doing? You're a blind pilot. You can't do that. Get out of the sky, just bashing people around.
Yeah, ridiculous stuff. Yeah.
And so their rule obviously is respect each other. Obviously these people can't respect if they're going to bash. So what she said to do in this particular case, when you get on and you say request your IFR clearance, and you tell them to note the considerations outlined in the flight plan. And they may say stand by because they might want to review it really quick or whatever. But what she told me to do is if they say your IFR clearance or whatever has been granted or approved, let us know when you're ready to taxi. One of the things she said to me was, when you're ready to actually jump over to the runway, then you would want to say something like Boston Center, this is United 1947, ready to taxi according to considerations outlined in the flight plan. And so basically tells them, look, I can't do it because I'm visually impaired, but I'm not going to tell the whole entire world that I'm blind.
Right. And it's also really professional. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's clean, you know.
Yep. Because not every pilot, you know, and they go like this. If you hear something on the radio that's not, if you're a real pilot and you're flying a airplane and you hear something come over the radio with something like that, like ready to land, based on the considerations we discussed previously, there may be things going on in that plane that you don't know about, that they're trying to keep away from the general public for some reason or another. You know, maybe it's media, because not on Vatsim, but in the real world, media outlets can get a hold of air traffic transmissions, because
Oh yeah.
they are not
Yeah.
private. They're not private. You know, I have an app on my phone. I can go listen to any air traffic controller I want in real
Yep,
life.
me too. Yep.
So it's not, you know, media can get a hold of those. So if you have at all possible, try and keep it, whatever it happens to be, down to a minimum. If you don't want people to know, don't say it. Put it in the comments of your flight plan. And say something like ready to taxi according to the considerations in the flight plan.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it may throw some people off as far as the air traffic controllers, you know, and they may have to look, but the general, you know, that's just the general
That's
rule.
better than dealing with harassment or being made fun of or
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And because you got to remember, guys, everybody that's talking on VATSIM, they want everybody to speak in a very similar set direction, so that no matter what, everybody's understanding everybody. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's you talking or someone else, even if you're not talking and you hear it, you could say, well, you know, you would automatically probably understand that, okay, there's, you know, things in the notes that they're talking about when they say it like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the whole idea, is to keep it very basic and professional at the same time, like kind of a type of guideline you kind of follow. And there's, you know, for those new simmers, there are several help files on VATSIM where they will train you and show you how to do things. It's just a really cool place to be.
Mm-hmm. And you know, because if you're like me, you know, it's, I wouldn't say scary, but it's a new experience. So it's like, oh, you know, what do I do? I read all the help files, you know, but
Right.
when I get online, what do I do? Because those help files that you read, you know, they might, you might forget. You don't have the experience on talking on the radio or, you know, whatever. You might not
Yeah.
know the lingo outright from the very beginning. You
Or
don't
you get nervous and just kind of
Yep.
forget.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with asking the air traffic controller for help.
Right.
You can
Right.
always send a private message to your air traffic controller and say, hey, look, I need to say this on the radio, but I'm not for sure how to put it to you. So, you know, the other thing too, if you don't understand what the air traffic controller says because they're too fast, too slow, too quiet, you know, maybe they're somewhat distorted on their mic, you could send a private message to them and say, hey, look, I want to understand what you said on the radio, but you were a little bit distorted and I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you repeat what you said? And so what they may do is they may just text it back to you, and then you say Roger on the air. They may text it back to you and then repeat it over the air so everyone hears it. Most of the people on there are usually pretty good with that type of stuff. One thing I wanted to point out that she had, this lady from Boston Center had pointed out to me, is anything in the comments section of your flight plan is considered to be private and confidential, because there may be private things in there. For an example, somebody may have to leave keyboard more than normal. Family emergencies may occur. Well,
Yeah.
you're not going to put that out in the real. You're not going to put that out over air. No, you're not.
I would hope not. I would hope not.
No. And so she's had some instances. Some guy was flying, and he put in the comment section of his flight plan, my wife is pregnant. We may have to abandon the flight at any time. So, I mean, that it's just stuff that they're being told as a matter of courtesy and respect out of the pilots. Don't expose what's in the flight plan comments unless it's absolutely needed.
Yeah, don't go in there and be like, oh, got to jump out of here. My son just got beat up due to, you leave all that stuff. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yep. And if you have any questions for your air traffic controller that shouldn't be out on the air, ask in private. If you have a conflict, try to resolve it with them in private first. And if you can't, there are always supervisors online, so you could just hit up a supervisor with your Unicom.
Yeah, because there's a command. I'm trying to remember what it was, but you can contact them.
Yeah, I don't remember how to spell it, but it's basically .wallop.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sure there's probably a reference list that you can. I'll have to see if I can find one. If I do look down below later in the description, it'll be there if I find it. But on how to, like, to be able to message somebody, it's .msg space, whatever their call sign is or whatever. There's certain way you do it, but it's pretty easy to do once you learn it. I think it's Wallop? How'd you say it's pronounced? Wallop?
It's the way that JAWS and NVDA say is .wallop. Like you're gonna wallop somebody.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's LOP. I think it's WA
LOP.
LOP, I think. And that supposedly gets you a supervisor no matter where they're at.
Yeah.
Whether they're 10 states over from you, it will get somebody over to come and help you if you need them.
Right.
Don't use that just to get a supervisor for something silly. Like, it needs to be something pretty serious to do that, because they're going to drop what they're doing to get over to you.
Yeah, so like an example where it would be useful, they even say in their help files, they are their main priority. Have fun, respect each other. We are here to help. I was seeing in one of their help files, it had literally said supervisors are not there just to resolve problems. We're big signposts with the word help tied around our neck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you need one, you need one, go get one. So like for me, it came in handy because whenever I would go to Chicago O'Hare in order to take off, because I have a flight plan that goes from O'Hare to Miami, I could never get an air traffic controller online. And so I had went and asked for one. Well, of course, one comes on, and I basically tell them what the deal is, and they said, "Oh, let me look and see." And they come back a minute later, and they said these particular groups of air traffic controllers are only going by text. They are not going by voice.
Mhm.
That's why they don't respond to you. And in addition to that, you're not allowed to talk on mic while you're in observe mode. I'm like, oh, okay, really? They said, yeah, you're supposed to actually not do that. And
Oh, wow.
they're like, it shows here that you've tried it multiple times. That's why you're being ignored on your radio checks, because technically they're not supposed to actually do that. If they can't find you on their radar, they're not allowed to talk to you.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it might be a new rule, because I know in the help files it used to say something about the fact that if you wanted a radio check, then all you got to do in observe mode is just ask for one.
Mhm.
But it's not the case anymore. They're not allowed to talk to you if they can't find you.
So if they don't see you or your plane, they're not going to talk to you.
Right. Now, in the event, because there have been some cases where traffic controllers do have legit planes on the ground and still can't find them on the radar. So, in that particular case, what you need to do is have a flight plan filed. And then you go on, you sign on as a pilot, and you come on the radio and say something like, Boston Center, this is United 1947 radio check.
Yeah.
And if they can hear you just fine, they'll come back with United 1947 5x5. Which
Right.
basically means 5x5. If you get a 5x5 out of a radio check, it basically means you're good to go. It's like a 10-4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just a rule. You're not allowed to do that if they can't find you. They're not technically allowed to talk to you unless you can verify that you are a legit plane, which is usually a flight plan or
Mhm.
it is a call sign. Now, what they
Yeah.
may ask you to do, they've asked me to do it because when I had left Boston, they couldn't find me on the radar. And your Vatsim client like VPilot, there is a button. It says Mode C. They call it Mode Charlie, and it's a squawk mode. And basically, it lets them find you on their radar.
Yeah. I have it where two things. One, I've got it set where in the settings it will automatically do it will automatically activate that button, trigger that button. But I also hit it just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's the second tab down from the edit box. The first one is connect and disconnect.
I think
And then,
the second or the third one, we can actually get into that when we get into our demos.
yeah, and it's always a good thing to do. Like, I think I would suggest, and this is just me personally, there have been things that's changed with Vatsim from what it used to be. They've changed some of the stuff, became a little more stricter with some of the rules. It doesn't hurt to go back over it and read it and just look through it to see what's new, because it's probably they're going to have an area for that that's going to show what's new, probably on here's the policy, well, what's new about it, here it is.
Yeah,
So
I
if
think
anything,
so.
just go back and read it and look at it.
Yeah.
And I've always said it never hurts to send somebody a message and ask a question. It never hurts to ask a question. Don't be scared. If you're not sure, ask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would rather ask than look goofy about something and do it wrong.
Yep. And the rule of thumb too, if you have an air traffic controller that seems to be not with the job, you know, in a sense, like they're like, hold on a minute, I need to look at something, or hold on, I'm trying to find something. They may be a student, they may be having a bad day, you know, just like the
Yeah.
pilots. They tell them that with the pilots too. You know, if they seem to be scattered brain, they seem to be a little bit slower than normal, or a little more frustrated or on edge. You don't know what's going on in their real life.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, there might be times when you will need a supervisor, and if you do, just contact one. Um, I'm not saying it's going to happen very often, but sometimes you do get that one person that, even though you're doing everything the right way, um, they might just not be used to working with someone that's visually impaired, and they might try to give you a hard time. If you know what you're allowed to do is okay, and they're telling you, no, we're not going to let you do that. We're too busy or something. Contact the supervisor and clarify. Make sure. It does not hurt to make sure, because if you got to follow the rules, so do they. And Vatsim wants them to follow the rules. That's why they hired them to do the job. You know, so just keep that in mind. It's not going to happen very often, if at all. But if it does, do something about it. Don't argue over the radio about it. Just get a supervisor.
Now, one thing I want to clarify, getting a supervisor doesn't necessarily mean you have a problem. So in this
Right.
particular case with Boston Center, the minute that I got done, I hit up a supervisor and I said, you need to give her the best accommodations that you can give her in the universe, because she sat here with me for an hour and a half to 2 hours before I even hit the runway and helped me out learning the ropes of the game in private. So whatever you do, you need to make sure that she gets some good notice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because not everybody's going to do that. And I'm not saying that others won't do it, but just it's just not going to happen. Not everybody's going to do that. And when they do, they deserve credit. Definitely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so, supervisors aren't always for bad things.
Right.
Get a hold of them
Right.
because you don't understand something. Yeah, get a hold of them because you have to resolve an unresolvable conflict. Get a hold of them about good things too.
Yeah. It's okay to give
They like
feedback to
hearing,
them. And
yeah, they like hearing good things.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, what we're going to do when we get back, Andy is going to take you, and I'll still be here as well, but we're going to give him control of the wheel, so to speak, and let him show some stuff um, to do with the. I guess it's still going to be called TFM, right? Is that
Yes.
so?
Yes.
The new, I guess we can just say the new TFM
Yeah.
that's not been released yet. That's not done yet. Andy's going to give us some views on stuff, show you what it looks like, what the menus look like, and we'll see what else we can get into. So when we get back here in just a second, we will go through that, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. So stick around. All right, you guys, we are back, and now that went easier than what I was thinking. So
Yeah, that was pretty. Zoom makes it easy.
I can't see why anybody would not like Zoom, because you can do good videos with it. Even if, I mean, anything really. It's really easy to manage. They made it very accessible. So that's a thumbs up to the company of, the owners of Zoom. You guys did an amazing job making it
Yep.
accessible. It's real big in college too. Like, I use it all the time.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. My
all
wife
right,
uses it all the time. So
Andy, what are we going to be doing here, my friend? What are we
so
going
one
to
thing,
look at?
yeah. So one thing I wanted to mention to close out the Vatsim issue, I was thinking about it over the break, and that is call signs. We'll get into
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into the screen sharing thing here in a minute. But one thing I wanted to cover is call signs. So normally, if you have an ATC program like PF3, it will always tell you at the end of everything it says on the air, it will always give its call sign. Not needed on Vatsim. The general rule of thumb is the first time you contact air traffic control and the last time you contact them for something, you state your full entire call sign. Otherwise, what is best to do is to go with the flow. So if they refer to you as a number, then refer to yourself as a number. If they refer to you as your entire call sign, then refer to yourself as the entire call sign.
Right. That makes
So
sense.
I've had examples of where they would say, I would say, you know, for an example, Boston Center, this is United 512 requesting IFR clearance from Boston to Philly. Based on the flight plan stated, please note the considerations in the comments. And they would say, they'd come back and say, please stand by. They'd do a few things over the air and they would come back and say, 512, can you taxi? So it's a hard set rule to follow it by call sign all the time. And it's not hard set rule to follow it just by the number.
Yeah, most of them I hear them come back and refer to people as their number. They'll say like,
Yeah.
23, you're good to go, or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. So just follow suit with whatever controller you have at the time. If they refer to you as the number, do it. If they refer to you as the whole thing, do it. The only rule of thumb, like I said, first transmission, last transmission, say your entire call sign. And then the ruling basically is this: we already know who you are. We just don't know what you need or what you want.
Right.
And the other general rule of thumb is don't say it at the beginning. Say it at the end. For the same thing, same rule. They already know who you are. They just don't know what you want.
Right.
So, it would be Boston Center request, and you don't even have to say Boston Center. They know who they are too. You know who they are. So you just get on the air and say requesting altitude increase to flight level 220, 512. If that's the way they referred to you, and they'll come back and say 512 not granted. You have a plane that's 5,000 feet above you and just to your left.
Mm-hmm.
So just making mention of that. It isn't going to irritate air traffic control if you do it one way or the other. It just seems to fit good flow with the rest of the traffic in the area if you go along with what they do.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So with that, let's move on. We'll close out the Vatsim thing. If I can, we're actually going to see if we can get some Vatsim traffic for you guys to listen to for those who might not be familiar.
All right.
I'll hop on and see if I can't pick up something in observe mode. So, all right. So I have my screen up here, and we're going to show you a little bit about the new talking flight monitor. Actually, we are starting to refer to it as TFM.net because it's written in a .NET framework language.
Mm-hmm.
So TFM.net is good to refer to it. The other one is just TFM or Talking Flight Monitor. Talking Flight Monitor is a mouthful, so just TFM for the old version that's already stable. TFM.
I would think in the future it'd be better, when you are asking people for, hey, email us if you're having problems or whatever. I would think that you guys would probably want them to say, hey, TFM.net's, this is what it's doing. If you just say Talking Flight Monitor, you guys might, you might think, okay, are they talking about the old one or the new one?
Yeah.
And this way, you're going to know automatically.
Right. So, At this point, there's a few updates that have come out over the past day or so. Number one, if you have a feature request or a bug report, you need to go to the GitHub repository in order to report a bug or request a feature. It has an issues queue there. You can just click on it and there's new issue. You can click on the button that says new issue. You can type in a subject line or a title. The way we're asking people to do it is bug : and then your title, which is just a brief one-line statement on what the issue is or feature.
Can they reach that through the menu? Sorry about that.
So let me see if I can get to it here. I have top list. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Is it coming through? All right.
Google Chrome 12.
I have a GitHub client.
GitHub desktop.
I cheat because
Edit button menu item collect.
I'll just go Control Shift G.
Untitled dash Google Chrome.
Nice.
/talking-flight-monitor dash.
Okay, so here's the repository. Is there a way to get you that link, or should I just let it sit there for a minute so people can find it? Or how do you do that?
If you guys want the link, go down below in the description. It'll be there. So by the time you get this, he will have gave me the link, and I'll put it at the bottom of the description. So you can go ahead and move on with that if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So
main landmark fair. Latest commit heading level 2.
There's a latest commit. It's a heading. So
link graphic at Sporta. Link at Sporta. Link added basic about dialog.
Added a basic about dialog box. That was something I did earlier today. So
link skip to
if you go to the top of the page and you're a screen reader, it's going to give you the title of the repository.
Heading level 1 visited link talking list with 3 items menu button collapsed sub menu and watch.
It's going to have these.
Link 4 users are watching this button on start. Link 1 user start this repository.
You can star it.
Button for your own copy of link 0 users
make a copy of
list
it.
Repository navigation landmark list with 8 items visited. Link current page code.
Okay, so here under the repository navigation, you have code.
Visited link issues.
Issues right here.
Issues.
This is where you want to go if you want to report something like a feature request, bug report.
Main landmark fair link /talking-flight-monitor. No next heading.
You can hit H to go to the heading, title of the repository.
Heading level 1 visited link list with 3 items menu button collapsed. Link 4 user button on start this repository. Fork your own copy of fair /talking dash author menu button collapsed sub link 5 open.
Okay, so there's 5 open bugs right now.
Checkbox not checked. Select all issues.
It lets you select all the issues.
Button new issue. Search landmark issue button new issue.
Okay, so there's the new issue button. If you use NVDA or JAWS, you can hit H to go to the title of the repository, and then if you just press B, it will take you eventually to new issue. I'm not going to file one.
New issue middle dot.
But for those that can see a little bit, there's the form that shows you the new issue form. Basically, it's pretty simple. It has a title. It has a comment section. Now, when you make the bug Now, when you make a bug report or a feature request, if it's a bug report, put in there the steps that you took to create the problem. And also put in there, what did you expect to have happen and what actually did happen. Because then it's easier for us to figure out what's going on. Because if you just say, well, NVDA doesn't work with it, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because you could have done something that, good example. I'll give you a good example. The other day I tell Andy, I said, Andy, I opened up tfm.net and JAWS wasn't reading it right. Well, one, I opened it up and it was minimized, and I didn't know that, but I wasn't specific when I first told him that I was using JAWS. I just said that, I think I said something like the menus was, like it wasn't reading the menu or something. I can't remember what it was, but be specific, because otherwise you'd be like, well, what was you doing?
Yeah. What was you doing? What did it tell you? What did it show you? You know, that type of thing. So be as specific and as concrete as you can get. If it's better, like I was telling the WhatsApp group earlier today, sometimes it's better to hear and see what's going on than it is for us to understand it when you type it out. And it's nothing to do with the way people type or whatever, but you can have some miscommunication sometimes when you type things out like that. So what you can do is there's an area down there at the bottom of the form that will let you attach files. So if you could make a video clip or an audio clip, small one, as small as possible in order to demonstrate the problem you're having, it would be really great, because then we can really understand what's going on with the problem, and you can explain the issue in the video or the audio clip. If you know, if what you're going to record is private and you don't want it out to the public, then you can send it to either one of us privately if need be. Just if you don't know how to get a hold of us, we're on Discord, the BVI Pilots Discord. We're also on the BVI Pilots email list. We're on WhatsApp, so you can send it, DM it to us that way. If you need to, you can send it to Johnny here, and he'll get it to us.
Yep,
So,
you can even get to you guys through BVIPilots.com. You go there, you can click on the link. There's a couple different links there. So there's several ways of get in contact.
So if you need to send that, just send it to them and all of those, one of those outlets, and it will get to us at some point. So that's if you have something private that you need to cover about tfm.net.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to close this out.
Document. Menu item.
All right. I'm going to close
Desktop
that out
list.
too. All right. So now what we're going to do,
Andy Borco.
we're going to
Andy Borco. C I. Preview. T. Talking dash flight. Preview. S. Source 4. Preview. Level 5 source collect bin.
yeah,
Space. Select debug. Preview. T. TFM set. Type edit application.
all right, so we're going to start up what I have so far, and I'll explain what's going on and how it works.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to launch it here.
TFM. Talking flight monitor. Primary tabs. Tab control. Gauges combo box ADF collapsed.
So right here is the avionics tab. It'll always be the first one in the line. It'll always be the first one to have focus when you start the app. Where we're at right now, we're on the gauges list. So this is like COM1, COM2, transponder, NAV1, NAV2, heading, altimeter, altitude, vertical speed, you know, all of those things that you would most commonly want your airplane to give you for information. So the gauges list right here, it's the first thing that gets focused when you start it up. ADF is highlighted by default, and in this gauges list, everything is sorted in alphabetical order from A to Z. You can hit down arrow.
Blank. Airspeed. Blank. Altimeter left. Blank. Altimeter left bracket. QNH right bracket. Blank. Altitude. Blank. COM1. Blank. COM2. Blank. Heading. Blank. Mach. Blank. NAV1. Blank. NAV2. Blank. Transponder. Blank. Vertical speed.
Okay, you can
Blank.
hit home
ADF. Blank.
and
Vertical
N to
speed.
navigate.
Blank.
If you want, you can also start typing in.
Oh. Gauges COM1.
So there's COM1. I just typed in CO quickly, and it took me to COM1, or I could go
AD. Gauges ADF.
ADF or
AL.
Wow.
Gauges airspeed.
airspeed, you know. So it's all there.
Blank.
We'll go back to the top. Now, one thing I have to fix here is it keeps saying blank. This is NVDA that I'm using. It keeps saying blank before each gauge name. The reason why is because I'm making a feature where you hear that blank, you'll actually hear the value of that particular gauge. So for an example, if I hit
H. Blank. Heading.
it says blank heading right now because there's nothing in the input field. If there were something there, it would say, for an example, 180 heading.
Mhm.
Or if I go
V. Blank.
to vertical speed, it would say negative. It would say minus 600 vertical speed, or it would say 1850 vertical speed.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed when I put in, like, if you, let's say, for example, you had altitude pulled up there, and earlier I did it, I put in like, I think 3,000 just to see. Um, and I think it's because where it's not connected yet, but I had 3,000 in the edit field. But then when I would arrow down, it would say whatever I was on 3,000, no matter what I
Yeah,
went to. But I
so
think it's because where it's not connected, it can't change. So it just,
yeah, right. So
A. L.
for an example,
Gauges ADF.
um,
A. Gauges altimeter left bracket inches blank. Blank. Altitude.
so we'll go to altitude.
Enter altitude edit blank.
Uh,
2000. 2000.
We'll put in 2000 for an example. So this form doesn't, it right now it actually doesn't do anything at all. It's
right,
just,
right.
it's dead. All you can do is navigate and play with the controls. It will not do anything. Now, so to show you an example of what will happen, I put 2000 in the altitude box.
Gauges combo box altitude collapsed.
So now if I arrow down,
2000. 2000. Altitude. 2000.
so that's what it will do.
2000. Altitude. 2000.
It's not
Yeah.
supposed to say altitude 2000, altitude 2000. And that's not supposed to read it twice. That's something I need to work on,
Right,
just to making everybody aware of that.
2000.
So
That'd
these,
be cool though, because you guys, we'll be able to just look at, like, we can literally look at the different whatever gauge, and it's just going to tell us what it is.
Yep.
And listen how fast it is. It's bam, it's there.
2000. 2000. Altimeter 2000. Altimeter left 2000. Altitude 2000. Com 1 2000.
Yeah, so it's pretty
2000.
fast. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
the nice thing about this, there are keyboard shortcuts. So
Avionics tab selected.
I'll put myself on the avionics tab itself, just so nothing on the screen has focus there. So if you want the gauges list,
Gauges combo box
you
AD.
press Control G. You want the input field related to a particular gauge,
Enter ADF edit 2000.
Control E. You jump back to the
Gauges
gauge.
combo box AD 2000. Altimeter left bracket QNH. Enter
Let me
altimeter.
get that out of there so it doesn't.
Gauges combo box
Right.
altimeter blank.
So we're on ADF right now. So if I
H.
go
Blank.
heading,
Enter heading edit blank.
Control E, it says enter heading.
Gauges
Go
combo
back
box
to-
heading collapsed. V. Blank.
Go to vertical speed. I'll hit
Enter
Control E.
vertical speed edit blank.
It says enter vertical speed. Now if you want to,
Vertical speed lock checkbox not checked.
vertical speed locks, so that's not going to be possible. It will be dimmed out at some point. But in order to get to the locking device, you press Control U. You can jump back
Enter
to
vertical
there.
speed edit blank.
It's Control E for the edit field. You can also do Control F
Fly mode combo box plan. Edit selected plan.
to jump to fly mode. Now this is a box that
Approach. Approach. Plan. Plan selected instead.
it will
Approach.
let you
Approach selected.
choose between plan mode and approach
Plan.
at this point. So eventually, if things work out the way that we want them to, you will see fly, plan, approach, missed approach, back course, that type of thing in there.
Right, right.
And so that's Control F.
Autopilot
You can
checkbox not
do
checked.
Control P for autopilot. It's just a toggle. Now watch this.
M.
Whoops, it's pretty
Space.
cool.
Checked.
If you check it, it turns green.
That is so cool.
Can you see that there, the color change?
Yeah, yep. That is, I like that. That
And
is
if
Space.
you
really
uncheck
cool.
it, it turns red.
That is so cool, man. Wow, that is really neat.
Yep. So the keyboard shortcuts on this particular tab, here again,
Gauges combo box.
Control G for the gauges. You can use up and down arrow. Once you choose a gauge, you
Enter
can
vertical speed edit.
Control E to go to the input field.
Vertical speed lock check.
Control U to go to the locking device if there is one available.
Which would be like
Combo.
altitude, you guys. Altitude would be something that you can lock and unlock.
So yeah, so it's like heading lock, altitude lock, that speed
Yeah.
lock, that kind of thing. You Control F to do
Fly mode plan.
fly mode, and you can use the arrow keys to choose one. And you could do
Autopilot checkbox.
Control P to go to autopilot, and you could check it or uncheck it. Now,
That is
when
so
these
cool.
controls are active, whatever you do in here will directly affect the simulator right away. So if you go to heading and you type in 200 in the edit field and press enter, it will instantly and immediately send that to the simulator's autopilot to take action.
And it's going to be pretty quick. I'm guessing it's going to
Yes.
be pretty fast.
Now, an added extra feature that I actually put in over the past day or so. Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, and Control 4 will switch tabs. So if I want, so I'm on the avionics tab, that would be Control 1. So if you need to jump to Procedures tab,
Avionics tab. Procedures tab selected.
you just Control 3.
This might be a silly question, but what if you're on a different window and you hit that hotkey? Will the
Nothing will
program
happen.
see it or no? Okay.
No, nothing will happen. It will just give you the standard Windows I don't understand sound.
Okay.
So if you need flight plan,
Flight plan tab selected.
Control 2,
Pages combo.
avionics, Control 1,
1.
whoops, and
Avionics tab. Find tab select.
find, Control 4. Now keeping in mind at this point, fly plan, procedures, and find do not have any content in them, so they will not be accessible
Right.
at the minute. My next job at this point, after I fix that blank, that reading blank at the beginning of the gauge name, is to work on the flight plan tab. So
Flight plan tab selected.
right there. It's empty, but that's my next course of action at this point. So
Gauges combo.
we'll go back to the avionics tab now. You have menu,
Plan collapse alt plus P alt plus P.
plan,
Tools collapse alt plus T.
Tools.
Help collapse alt.
help.
Plan collapse alt plus P alt.
So under plan,
Open. O control.
open a plan.
Save. S con.
Save one if you've modified it and you want to keep the changes.
Save as.
Save as, which basically means that you can save the flight plan, but save it under a different name if it already has a name.
Quit Q alt plus.
And then you can quit the program. That actually does work.
Primary tabs tab.
And then
Lang. Verticals. Plan collapse alt plus P alt. Tools collapse.
you have tools.
A2A aircraft manager.
A2A aircraft manager. So this is basically going to let you initially control the A2A aircraft payload and fuel. It doesn't do anything right now, but eventually that's what it's going to do. It will do the same thing that the old TFM used to do with the A2A aircraft products. And A2A is a manufacturer of simulator airplanes. They're the older style, like the prop planes. So you have like the J Cub and the Cherokee Piper, the all well-known Cessna 170, 180 series, those type of planes. Johnny, your favorite, the Beechcraft.
Yeah, the good old
Beechcraft, yeah, the Bonanza. Yeah, that none of us can figure out how to fly.
That thing is very. I
It's
tell you, when I got to get in it in real life with George, I loved it. Just, and I'll tell you what, it's just a well-built plane. I mean, well-built. On the sim, yeah, that thing is a
It's
pain in the-
temperamental.
Oh, man. one thing
Yeah,
off, and you are not flying that bad, Daddy.
Yeah, I remember when I was 16 and one of my uncles took me up in his Cessna 182. Oh, it lit something up in me that I didn't know what it lit up. I kind of like the whole, private flying aviation thing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Well,
I like the A2A stuff. I really do.
yeah, they are payware, so just making you all aware of that. So this A2A
A 2A aircraft manager.
aircraft manager is going to have the payload and fuel manager for those. I don't know if we can put the maintenance hangar in there or not. It just all depends on what they make available to us.
Aircraft profile.
So the
A 2A
next thing,
aircraft profiles.
you have aircraft profiles. So aircraft profiles will be what Tramp has, FS Tramp has in its plan and then aircraft window. So you should be able to choose an aircraft profile, create one. It would have specific settings in it. So it would have like maximum service altitude, safety altitude, or safety ceiling, maximum service ceiling, what is the recommended landing speed, what is the recommended ascent rate and descent rate, what is the recommended approach descent, that type of thing. Because then the autopilot can help the aircraft fly and fly according to what it's supposed to be able to fly instead of just some ridiculous thing. You don't want an airplane climbing at 3,000 or 4,000 feet per minute. It's possible in emergencies, but it's not recommended under general rules. So you don't want to put that in a box. You want to make sure that the numbers would be realistic.
Yeah.
So that's what that's going to be.
Settings.
Then you have the settings. That's going to just be your typical settings dialog box. It'll have some of the things that the old TFM has in it. Like, I believe at some point we're going to let you set up your own keyboard shortcuts, and it's going to have some other settings in there. I have some planned that I can't talk about right now, but that's what that is.
A 2A aircraft manager. Primary tab.
All right, and then you have
help expanded.
The help menu.
About visit website.
So right here you have visit website. So that will take you to that GitHub repository that we had visited earlier. Again, this does nothing, but that will take you to the GitHub repository after it becomes active.
Report an issue.
Report an issue. So the issues queue and the GitHub repository that we had visited before I shut down Chrome, it will take you directly to that page where you can press new issue button. I mean, just
and that does work now, Andy, just to clarify?
It does not work now, no.
Not yet, okay.
Not yet,
so
not yet.
Not yet, okay.
But it will take you to that issues page so you can press the new issue button.
About.
About. So this is the typical about dialog box. It actually works.
About TFM. Okay, but Alt plus O.
There you go. It's got it's a crude basic version of an about box, but it does work. It has the version number in there. So if you make a bug report, make sure you go to the about box and put in the version number into the comment section. It helps us out a lot.
Talking flight monitor.
It does work. So there you go. We just closed it. And this is TFM's user interface to this extent. Now, where do you want to go from here? It's your deal.
All right, so
you want to take something up in a plane, so we can show
do
something?
that way you could at least show the some of the hotkey functions and stuff.
Right.
Guys, at this point, if you have questions, down below there's going to be some information description where you can email us to get. We want to hear your thoughts, and they don't mind answering questions. So if you got a question, send it. I'll get it to them, and hopefully we can get you an answer.
Sounds good. So let's take this bad puppy up in the airplane. Let's
see.
Let me
primary tab
that down.
That's me.
All right. Let me
talking flight monitor. Primary tab control. Gauges. Desktop.
Let me close that because you have to start the simulator first.
Yeah, and don't do like I did. Make sure when you run the sim, if you're going to play around with this, just to play with it, don't try to run the other TFM while you're running TFM.net.
No. The word of warning: do not run both of them at the same time. It is a conflict of interest for the two of them to be running at the same time.
Yeah, I done it, and they were just attacking each other. They don't like each other.
No, they don't.
R3DV.
All right, so let's get P3D
Context
up.
menu. Open O. Move the one. Send with transfer. Move. Open O.
Oops.
Properties are.
I
Open.
want
Move the
to.
one. Drop. Send with transfer. Open file location. Run as administrator.
I run as
Desktop.
administrator because TFM runs as administrator. So it's
You know, with Prepare, if there's a way, or I mean, maybe not. You know, when you first open Prepare, it'll open up with that default jet.
yeah. Oh, yes. I do know what you're talking about. There
Is
is
there
a way to.
to have
Yes.
it open with maybe like a jet that you normally use?
Yes, there is, and if you want, we can cover that towards the end.
Okay, good deal. Well, while you're talking to them, I'm going to move to the side just for a minute. So continue doing what you're doing. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So at this point, we're waiting for P3D to open.
Prepare 3D.
Takes a few minutes. And
Meeting controls row inbox dash Gmail. Meeting controls row inbox dash Gmail
let me
inbox.
close
Mail
that.
window. Reading pane group. Desktop list. Prepare 3D V4. Meeting controls row. Desktop list.
Taking a few minutes here. It's always slow. But hey,
Volume.
that's okay.
Program manager.
It said volume.
Meeting controls row. Meeting controls.
We got nothing yet.
Desktop list.
It's taking a few
Volume.
minutes.
Volume.
Oh, come
Meeting
on.
control. Desktop. New notification and action center from mail window.
We're still waiting. Waiting.
Volume. Meeting controls row. Meeting control.
Yeah, waiting.
Desktop list.
do.
Volume. Meeting controls row. Prepare 3D registered scenario startup row 1
Here
column.
we go. It just took
Volume.
a little bit longer because we're on a shared
Volume.
screen.
Volume.
And sometimes that can fudge things around a little bit.
Prepare 3D registered scenario startup window. Change vehicle. Button. Change your selected vehicle.
All right, so right here we're on the startup wizard. I'm going to change my plane.
Submenu dialog window.
Right.
Edit land. Data print. Click to select a vehicle. Airbus A320 United Airlines.
Yes, let's go with an Airbus 320. I don't care. It's United, whatever. So
Change vehicle. List the available weather themes radio button. User dash defined radio button. Change airport button. Change your location.
let's change the airport. Let's go to Boston.
Submenu dialog window. Edit search by airport ID. Land.
Yeah, we'll go to Boston.
K. O. S. Edit search by airport name. Land.
All right.
Edit search by combo box menu. Combo box menu models. Airport. Name index collapsed. Combo box active runway collapsed. Select your starting location.
Let's go to
15L. 15R.
Let's pose 15 right. Will work.
Lockheed Martin registered. Prepare 3D registered. Prepare 3D registered scenario startup window. Checkbox check display the scenario startups.
So let's go.
Lockheed Martin registered. Prepare 3D registered V4. Submenu dialog window.
And I'm back with you.
All right, there you go. We're just getting the plane loaded up. It's an Airbus.
Good deal.
I was telling him that P3D takes
Lockheed Martin registered Prepar 3D
P3D
registered
takes
C4.
a few minutes to load up when we're on shared screen. So listen to that
Yeah.
electrical system.
Yeah. Yep. I can
Can you
hear
hear
it.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention this real quick because I've heard it a few times, and I'm just going to say, I don't care
Turn the
how
master switch off.
like I don't care how fast your computer is. I
On
don't care if
runway.
you got a computer
1,
with
5,
26
flaps, flaps.
gigs of memory. P3D will always take a few seconds to get up running and loaded. Like it's not just your computer. It's a sim. It's a sim on a computer.
It takes quite a bit of memory and processor. So like P3D version 5, my computer's not even strong enough to run it. So it'll install, but when I get to the startup wizard, it
won't even do it.
crashes.
Really?
It just goes
Wow.
kaput.
Do you think that that's accessible? Not to get off track too much, but do you think that is it usable by us or no?
From what I understand, it's actually it's no different. The user interface and stuff, from what I understand, is no different than P3D4.
I wish they would fix the menu where we could read that, where we could just hit Alt and go down the file menu, that all them different menus. But
On runway.
Oh, yeah.
1, 5,
All right,
right.
lady, I hear
On
ya.
runway. 1, 5.
yep, that's
right.
Raz
Yes.
or Raz, how you pronounce
Yes,
it. But
yeah, runway awareness system. Yeah, it's
it's a
pretty
good
cool
program. Yep, I
Oh, yeah.
like it.
So let's get this
Next meeting controls window.
good.
Start button.
Let's get this thing
Desktop.
up and
Andy Borga 1 of
running
39.
again.
Andy Borga window. Oh, C colon backslash. Preview. Level 3 GitHub collapsed 14 of 45. Talking dash flight.
On runway.
Level 4 talking dash
1,
flight bin.
5,
Yeah.
Space.
right.
Preview.
On runway.
Level 5 bin
Wow.
collapsed.
1,
Preview.
I'm surprised
Five.
she's not
Right.
saying flaps.
She did say, yeah, she did say it at the beginning.
Preview. Level 5 source collapse space. Selected bin. Preview space. So debug.
All right, so
Preview.
let's
Level 7 T. TFM 17 of 20. Type edit application.
all right, so let's get this sucker up and running.
TFM talking flight monitor. Primary tab control. Gauges combo box ADF collapsed. Current aircraft colon. Airbus A320 United Airlines.
On
Land.
runway. 1,
So you heard that.
5,
So it already
right.
started reading
On runway.
me.
1,
It had
5,
said my
right.
airplane.
C colon backslash C.
Yeah, it knows what
Primary
you're.
tab.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Lockheed Martin
All
registered.
right, so
Lockheed
here
Martin.
we are now. This should be able to read to me.
0 nuts indicated.
You got to show them
Focused
the
city colon. Chelsea, Massachusetts.
nice.
So let's get this sucker up off
On
the ground.
runway. 1,
You want to
I
get her
five.
get her up
Right.
off the ground?
On runway.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just
1,
going to say, I
5,
like the new feature you added. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, it's got to do with your hotkeys.
Overweight warning. Fuel weight colon. 47,504 pounds.
Yeah.
29,085
Uh,
pounds. Gross weight colon.
Listen,
167,763 and
Tony, you're a fat ass.
167,331 pounds maximum.
No, but that's good that it does tell you that you're overweight.
On runway.
That
1,
is,
Yeah.
I mean,
5, right. On runway.
yeah, let's
1,
get this baby in the
5,
air.
right.
Let's get
I
the
wonder-
sucker in there. We're overweight, but I've done it before. Don't do it if you can help it. I'm
There's-
just doing it's just a demo. So
There is a hotkey you can set up, but I don't think it works. And I've tried it where you can dump fuel, but
oh, that'd be nice, but
I don't think it actually dumps it though. I've tried it before, and I have to mess with that more.
yeah, because
runway.
like
5,
Total
right.
fuel
Fuel.
colon.
On runway.
47,504.2 pounds.
5,
7,091.0
right.
gallons. Total fuel flow colon. 0.
so I'm at 100% and I'm overweight. Don't
What
ask
does it
me
mean?
what I
It said total fuel 0.
no it did.
Total fuel
It
colon.
did?
47,504.2 pounds. 7,091.0 gallons. Total fuel flow colon. 0.
No, it said fuel
Oh,
flow.
fuel flow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's get this sucker up off the ground. Let's
I think
go.
you'll
On
still get
runway.
her up.
1,
Yeah,
5.
let's.
Right. On runway. 1,
Dash FS tram.
5.
Map 1.
Right.
Let's get this thing
Mouse positions for pre-pop
going.
P. Plan semi. Lockheed Martin rest plan left dash contact open O. Open dialog C colon back KPOS dash KPHL left parent Bills right parent dot PLN 2 of 8.
We'll do that one. I already have citizen
KPOS
stars and
dash
stuff
KPHL left.
assigned to that. Get there. All right, now
Battery master active.
you hear that?
On runway.
Like that electrical
1,
system sound?
5.
It
Right.
sounds good, man.
On runway. 1.
But you saw how fast
5.
that was?
Right.
I hit Shift M and it says Battery Master active as the
It's just
sound turned
instant.
on.
I mean,
As
bam.
the sound turned on.
It's just that quick. Did you,
Yep.
speaking of your SID and stars, did you end up saving your flight plan before with your SID and stars? Is that how you did it? Just saved
Yes,
it?
I did.
It's not a bad
So,
idea.
Let's get this.
Number 1 starter engaged. Number 1 fuel valve open. Fuel pump active.
On runway. 1.
Number 1
5.
generator active.
Right. On runway. 1.
Now see, this is
5.
TFM
Right.
not telling us the status updates on the engine startup.
That's awesome.
How about that bad puppy?
Yeah.
Number 1 ignition on.
Wow.
This is my plane
Number
I
1
use all
starter
the
off.
time.
Number 2 starter
Is this
engaged.
the A3?
Number
Is
2
this
fuel
the
valve
one
open.
on the list that just says A320?
Number 2 generator active.
This is the one that says A320. It's from Flyaway Mega Pack.
On
Okay.
runway. 1.
Well,
5.
I've got like
Right.
4 on
runway.
in
1,
my sim,
5.
and well, I've got more than
Right.
that, but there's
Number
one
2
that says
ignition.
A320, and I think this is the one. I think that's the same one.
Number 2 starter off.
If I remember, I think I have a different sound pack for it though. Gotta wait
I've
for
actually been
APU.
studying, just not that everybody wants to know, but future
On
reference, I might
runway.
be
1. 5.
building
Right.
custom
On runway. 1.
sound packs in the future.
5.
I've been studying here recently. I've been studying on how sound packs work and how they do it.
Oh, okay. That works.
You know, when I looked over, I don't know if you've ever looked over the code and stuff, but it's really not that complicated.
Flaps 10.
How about that? Flaps 10.
Nice.
Flaps
On
15.
runway. 1.
Flaps
5.
Alright.
15.
Right. On
Yeah.
runway.
I've got
1.
an Airbus and you
5.
can't even hardly hear
Right.
the flaps at all. So it's so like you can barely hear it.
Autopilot master active.
There's autopilot.
We're getting there, guys. Alright.
Parking brake off.
I've actually got custom sounds for the tramp sounds.
Uh-huh.
On runway. 1.
Alright, here
Five.
we're...
Right.
When you hit
On
auto
runway.
plan, the auto
1.
flight plan,
5.
mine
Right.
sounds like a dial tone from like a telephone. And it goes, dude.
And there you go. Alright, let's punch this thing. See if I can get it off the ground overweight, huh?
Yeah, she's definitely heavy. Are you
24
telling
knots
already?
indicated. Spoilers armed.
There you go.
83 knots indicated.
What's the V1?
117 knots indicated.
Come on, lift off. Come on, you can get it.
Oh, baby.
154 knots indicated.
Up off the ground. Come on, you can do it.
She will.
185 knots indicated.
On taxiway.
Whoa.
On
20
taxiway.
with RM.
On taxiway. On taxiway.
A.
You're up.
218 knots indicated. D. Left 10.
Check it again.
220 feet ASL. 288 feet ASL.
There we go.
You belly. I've done that before where I took the belly across water. Where did you pick up off? Where are you flying from?
Boston.
1139 feet ASL.
It's instant when you hit the buttons. I love it, man. I love it.
Left 0.
Yeah, so you guys got to hear what it's like for a plane to hit some water on takeoff.
Belly smack.
Yeah, I've done that before, actually. Hey, but you know what they say, when you're V1, you don't back out after V1. So,
Very colon. 178 degrees. 00 hours, 08 minutes, 45 seconds.
you was already V1, ready to go. Wow, it's
37 feet
instant.
per minute.
Yep. There's vertical speed.
3442 feet per minute.
Wow, man.
5295 feet ASL.
You know what I think?
Lockheed Martin registered for R3D. Mouse positions for R3D dialog F. Find input semi. Position X F. Find tab semi F. Flight plan left parent. M-1 right parent. Lockheed Martin registered for R3D registered V4. Lockheed. Left click.
I think I forgot to turn on fly plan.
I was pretty sure you had it on.
Well, no, I just turned on autopilot. For some reason, Tramp lately has been telling me that by default,
Lockheed.
Oh. I can't is it on or no?
I believe it is on.
I think so.
237 knots indicated. 699 feet per minute. 6520 feet ASL.
Yeah, it's on right now. As you can hear the power coming back. It was basically a rocket ship for a while.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Mouse positions for grid page. Heading semi. Position X. Lockheed Martin registered for R3D registered V4.
Did I bring that? Let's see.
KBOS
Oh, there we go.
KBHL. Mouse positions for R3D dialog. Save mouse position page. Heading semi. Lockheed Mark 119 left KBOS KBHL left parent. Bills right parent. .pln FS tram.
This Tramp thing is saying this is the reason why we're trying to rewrite the different, rewrite the stuff with the Tramp features, because it's slow.
Left click.
Yeah,
119
it really is.
And awkward.
Autopilot checkbox checked.
There's autopilot.
Fly plan -M2 checkbox checked.
Okay. I'm on fly plan 2. What?
M button. Space. Altitude lock active. Fly plan -M1 checkbox checked.
Now I'm on
There
fly
you
plan.
go. No wonder what. That's weird though, because you was in M1 on before you took off. I thought, but
No, I think it was an M2. Well, see, guys, this is the reason why we're doing this, because with the flight planning,
10,000 because you're picking up again.
yeah, with the flight planning features with the new TFM.net, because this Tramp thing is not.
236
This is a bit of a random question for you, Andy. I know this is something you and Jason would probably discuss. But do you think that at any, like, you know, in the future, that do you ever see a flight plan builder or a way to do that through TFM.net? Do you ever see that being possible?
What is it again?
Basically where you could go in and build your own flight plan.
It's coming soon. I mean, not soon, but I mean, the plans
So
are
it's
there.
definitely something possible. It's definitely possible then.
It's possible, but right now we're gonna have people load it through SimBrief or simulators.
Right.
How about that big boy roar?
Yeah, I like this. This is the one that I fly, and I've never had no problem with this A320. Now, there have been other ones that, for example, the A320neo, It does not like me one bit. And I don't know what's so different about the Neo compared to this one, other than the name. But it's just, it doesn't do good with me at all.
Yeah, I just muted the sound.
And to do that, you can hit Q, you guys, as
Yeah,
in
just
Q
press
as in
Q.
Queen. Yep.
Yeah, but see, this still works.
Closest city: Kingston, Massachusetts.
The
That's
city,
awesome.
268 knots. 12,531 feet ASL.
I always
12,611
wondered
feet ATL.
if, when you look at closest city, if it's looking at the city that's below you, but like, is it looking at the nearest city below you? Like, so if you're flying over Louisville, for example, would it tell you you're at Louisville, or would it get a different city?
Next waypoint: SSOXS. Distance: 11 nautical miles. Bearing: 211 degrees. 00 hours, 02 minutes, 04 seconds.
let's see.
Closest
Wow,
city:
I love it.
Kingston, Massachusetts.
Kingston.
So I believe it is the one that you're flying over. Don't quote me on that,
Yeah, 'cause
because
if you
I know
think
in the old
about it,
TFM it would say something like 3 nautical miles away or whatever.
how many feet is that? Let's see. I'm trying to think how many feet a mile is, because it probably is. Because it's probably, you know, when you're 30,000 feet up.
So to figure it out, it's 1.5 land miles per 1 nautical mile.
Okay, I bet it is. Then it's pretty much getting the city that's kind of beneath you.
Yeah.
Because there's really, really, if you think about it, it's never beneath you,
Not
because
yet
you're
implemented.
flying so fast. You're always moving.
All right, guys,
So
we just come across something. If you hear,
Not yet implemented.
it basically means that the feature is planned in the near future, but not yet ready or available.
Right.
I did right bracket D, and it says not yet implemented.
oh, for distance, yeah.
Yeah. For what
I don't
is your
think
time
Tramp
left?
does that very good. I don't think Tramp does it, but it's never accurate.
Point: BUZRD. Distance: 3 nautical miles. Bearing: 222
Okay, I
degrees.
just
00
finished my
hours,
SID.
00 minutes, 30 seconds.
The SOX 4 was my SID.
Oh, okay. So you guys
So-
are going to be working on figuring out how many miles that you've got left too, as well. Is that right?
That's the thing, the plan that I wanted to have put in. Like, you could do Shift D and it will tell you how many miles are left on your plan. That way you're not having to page through a big bunch of stuff to try and find it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I wouldn't think it'd be hard to do, but
it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that hard to do.
because all you're doing is
44,759 pounds.
the GPS
Payload weight:
on where your destination
29,085
is,
pounds. Gross weight: 165,018
figuring
to
out how many miles that is
157,331 pounds maximum.
compared to how many miles you've went.
Yeah. So,
18,629 feet ASL.
so
18,000.
guys, yeah, definitely you can take this thing up in an airplane. Just make sure you don't belly smack because you're overweight and you have the wrong fly plan checked. But
You know what? It's all right, man. It's all right. I like that water sound though, because it really it really did sound like the nose was really getting dipped in, because it was like zoom, zoom.
yeah.
Yeah, it was more than just a splash. Like I've taken off before where you're barely hitting the water and you can hear it kind of spraying, you know.
Yeah.
That was more of a
Just like
gurgle.
and this just is like
Yeah,
like the nose is digging down.
yeah. That's awesome.
How about
S.
I gotta ask you, as a developer,
S.
this is a good question too, I think.
Q.
As a developer, being, you know, you do
Altimeter:
programming and all
and
that,
13,
does
29.92
it
inches.
make you lose interest on the other side of it, like just flying in general? Do you lose that interest like some of us might have as far as flying, or no?
so I think sometimes you can lose sight of the fun of it because it's all math, it's all science, it's all pre-calculated, you're up in the air, demonstrating things to people, you're up in the air because you have to test out a bug or a feature fix or a new thing you implemented. And so it can get, I'd say sometimes it can be a distraction. Sometimes, just don't have time to get up and fly. I mean,
Yeah.
We have this event coming up tomorrow, and I have 0 practice hours on me.
Yeah,
And
you
it
you've not had
starts.
time. I mean, you've been hitting this program every day,
Yep.
honestly.
And at this point, it's basically a full-time job.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's a full-time job, but I would have to say, we have over 100 supporters in a sense, because we have everyone in the BVI Pilots group, and then there's other people. I think there's another blind pilots group. So those people that use it or who put in questions or whatever, anyone that's out there in the public at large that may not have contacted any of us yet, or people who may be considering getting into this stuff, they're all supporters. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
close, tight-knit people that are in the BVI Pilots group, they've been absolute. I put a thing up there, I think it was yesterday, and I'll say it again, here's an update for you. Here's what this thing does so far. Have fun. Let me know what's going on. Don't hurt yourselves over it. Don't beat yourself up. Love you guys. Let me know what you think. And it drives people crazy in the sense that, if you give them that kind of feedback, you guys are doing good, even though you're using it as users, but you're doing good. I like what you're doing. I like what I see. It's a motivator for them to keep on. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you have that end of it. Like I said, the public media relations part, the scientific part, the math part, testing it, we're not up in the air right now just because I want to fly and I want to show you how I fly. I'm up in the air showing as a demo, so for me, this is developer work.
It's work. Yeah. And, the thing that I think maybe not everybody thinks about, and I know you have because you're a developer, and I know what it's like because I've done coding on other stuff, not this kind of stuff, but I've done, like I once had a game up for a Moo game or whatever, and I did it so much, Andy, to where now I have no drive for mooing at all. I just don't get into it that much. But that's totally different. I've always loved flying. But what I was going to say is that it's something that I know that we think about as developers, but a lot of people don't, is this. This is something that's never existed in this entire world. You guys are bringing something to the front over top of everything else. Not even Microsoft has anything that would allow one of us to do this kind of thing. So to me, it's huge. And one day I think that it's going to be, credit will be given where credit is due. I really believe that. And I think you'll continue to get attention on doing this. I just, it's been all positive to me. Support's important, for not just me as a friend, but as as a simmer. It's important for me to show my support and other people to show, because you guys look at that and you say, okay, they are paying attention, or wow, look at all the support that I've got. That is a real motivator. Unlike like if you did all this and you didn't have one person ever say anything, that'd be kind of like, damn, what's going on here? but obviously that's not the case.
Well, yeah. So I know the difference. There was a project I was working on before, which it will remain anonymous. I think you might know what I'm talking about. We can talk about it offline later. But I spent a year working on this thing, and you put feedback out, and it goes into a black hole.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's not good. I mean, you could figure your users are using it or like it, but unless the users say something like, we like it, we're using it,
Instruments off.
you wouldn't have a clue. Why are my instruments off?
What was that?
What's going on? Hold on.
What
285
was
knots indicated.
that?
Yeah. I don't know.
I've never heard that message before.
That's
1211 feet
weird.
per minute.
Is it a bug? Oh, that's odd.
Um,
Okay.
Next waypoint
Check-
colon. HTO. Distance colon. 2.
check your climbing rate again. What did it say?
2. 1198 feet per minute.
It's normal range.
What about your regular speed? What does it say?
I think it was 280.
283 knots
Yeah,
indicated.
283.
I
That's
heard that,
low.
I'm
What?
like,
283 knots indicated.
Okay, but
2.
I think you might be in Mach
Two.
speed. You might be in Mach mode, maybe.
Mach 0.76.
yeah, I'm in Mach speed now.
Yeah.
But that was weird. Instruments off.
I've never heard that
That's-
before, ever. Like, did I just hear that?
Oh, not unless my plane's gonna have an emergency or something. But
Yeah, this might be one
um,
of them emergency landings.
but getting back to this, so you could assume your users are using this project, but unless they say we're using it, we like it, how am I to know? Silence, a lot of times in the developers world, silence means nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah,
I'm talking to a black hole. I'm developing for a black hole.
yeah.
So
And it's a motive. It kills motive. I mean,
it
it
does.
just absolutely takes away the motivation of it. It
It
really
does.
does.
Yep, it does. Because you're working on this thing for a year. You're building up features that you think people would like or people would need, and in general practicality, you are making things that they would want, making things that they would need. But after a point, you hit those hard spots. It's not easy to figure out the answer to the problem, and
Yeah,
you're just sitting there all by yourself, and it's like, okay, screw it. I'm gonna just give it up, forget it, whatever.
that's what I did with the move thing, because I worked really, really hard on that on
Airspeed goals
coding,
off. Mach hold active.
and nobody, not one person, they were using all the new stuff that I was doing, but nobody was saying anything. Not even, hey, I like that new feature. Just
Yeah,
it was just dead, and everybody's like, well, you don't talk about it. Well, I'm not going to talk about it if it's not being mentioned. Like, I'm not, it takes the the other side to give us that piece of hope and motivation, saying good job.
Mhm. yeah. I mean, good job. Even if you hear, okay, I like what you do. Here's a bug. Even that.
Yeah,
If you're
give
in a
it-
black, if you're in a black hole, even somebody just saying, "Oh, here's a bug."
yeah,
we do.
it's something.
We are people too. We're not robots. We need the, hey, good going. I like what you're doing. The rally support around what we're doing is, for the best of better words, ginormous.
Yeah, and you might do it different, like you said earlier, telling people, let me know what you're doing and how you're doing it. They might do it a little differently, that creates that bug
Yep.
compared to the way you do it that doesn't create a bug.
Right. Yep.
So feedback's important, guys, and I really appreciate everybody showing support to these
Oh, yeah.
guys, because you and Jason both are working hard and you know what? This is the thing that really and I know everybody notices this because you guys get really good support, but here's the key word on it: free. This is free. No charges other than what you might need as far as just simming in general, but that has nothing to do with Andy or Jason. They're doing all this work free.
Yeah. So TFM.net is open source. So you can see the source code. You can review it.
Use it, break it.
Use it, break it, recommend improvements to fix it or make it better or add something new. But it is free. You just go download it. Matter of fact, there's actually a page on BVIPilots.net/TFM-snapshots. And every time one of us adds something new, there's a new build. You just go grab it.
That's awesome. And the way we're going to do it, for those of you
Waypoint
that go
colon,
to
copy, distance colon, 3
BVIPilots.com,
nautical miles.
the way we're going to do it with that is because I try to keep everything that is going on in the BVI world. I keep it over there too, or I try. I'm basically going to in-frame that area of their webpage. So anytime it updates, you're going to get it. I don't got to go in and do nothing because it's an in-frame, which, Andy, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so I figured that's the easiest way for me. I don't know how to do it any other way. And it seems like the easiest and quickest way. And everybody still get them updates if they go to that website. So.
Yeah. So right now, the website will hold everything that we do. We're looking at making it only show the most recent 5 or 10 builds. Now keep in mind that every time we put code on GitHub, it triggers a build. So
right. Even if it's just one line.
You may have 5-10 builds a day. Just depends on what we're doing and how much we're sending things up.
Distance colon, 3 nautical miles.
It just all depends on how much we're sending things up to GitHub and the repository. We try to keep it at a minimum if we can at all help it. But sometimes you have those times where you just can't help it.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So this, I think, is a good demo on what's already available. Again, for this particular build, you can go, or any future builds at that rate, B as in boy, V as in Victor, I as in India, pilots.net/Tango Foxtrot Mike snapshots, and you can get the latest build, whatever that is. As of this recording, it is build 0.39.
39, that's what it is, yeah.
If you see a larger build number, then it's newer.
Next waypoint colon, sorry.
Yeah. And if they're giving you, because I know sometimes people mistake what they don't, sometimes I've had this experience where they're like, what is a dash? It's the hyphen. Okay?
Yeah, it's a dash.
So,
it's right just to the left of the equal sign.
Yep.
And that is just so right below where your F12 and F11 keys are, you have the backspace. To the left of that is equal, to the left of that is a dash.
Yeah, and on my keyboard, it is directly under 4, 8, 9. It's right under 9 on my keyboard.
Yeah.
Like directly under it.
Yep.
Most people know what it is, but you do get them wild eggs every now and then. They're like, well, what is a dash?
Yeah.
And so I got to correct myself and say hyphen. I'm like, it's a hyphen, okay?
Yeah.
Hyphen dash.
Yeah. So,
and the thing is, guys, don't mistake the fact that they do want you to see it. They want you to look at it. They want you to test what you can of it. Because you know, for example, Andy, you're working on the first part of it with all the gauges and stuff.
Yep.
And you might get over to the flight plan part of it, and maybe you forgot something, or maybe something just is acting silly. The only way they're going to be able to fix it is by us saying, "Hey, it's not working," or it's doing this.
Yep.
Be specific and report it. Use it. Play
Next
with it
waypoint
every
colon.
now and then.
Delete. Houston.
I would recommend downloading it in the morning time each day. Just download the latest copy in the morning.
Yep.
And then you've got that previous day.
Yeah, you have all of the
what's done.
fixes and all of the work done from the previous day. So every day I would go up there and see if there's a new one.
Yep. That's what I do anyways. I go and grab whatever, you know, I wait till morning. I get up, I grab it, and there it is.
Yep.
If you guys got questions, there's several ways to get in touch with these guys. You can go through BVIPilots.com. You can go through BVIPilots.net. I'm not sure as far as Twitter, if they've got Twitter accounts or not.
We do not have a Twitter or a Facebook set up.
Okay. So, and if you got questions, you know, let me know. If you can't contact them for some reason, let me know and I'll get out. You know, I talk to Andy all the time. Me and him, we became like almost everyday buddies, I think.
Oh, yeah. I called you like 900 times today.
Yeah, if he's not calling me, I'm calling him. It's like it's turned into a game, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Except I
you know
called
what
you.
though, it's cool though, because since I started simming, I've met new friends. And I like meeting new people. I like making new friends. You know, you only live once, so live it the best you can, and you meet great people. So, one more thing before we go, Andy.
Before we go to
before we move off of this, yeah. Well, no, you said it don't work yet. Never mind. The GitHub thing, they can't get to it through the make
no,
yet, correct?
You cannot get to it through the TFM.net interface yet.
I will have him give me a link, you guys. You should see it. It's down
Next
below in the
waypoint
description.
colon.
You'll see the link that'll take you there where you can put in the bugs and stuff, okay? So be specific. If you got to do a little video, do that. But explain what the bug is and what you're doing. That way Andy or Jason know why is it doing that. If you just say, hey, you know, the altitude is doing this, well, why is it doing it? Are you tabbing on it? Are you, you know, what are you doing? So.
Yep. All right. So let's abandon this flight.
Unavailable. Submenu dialog window. Resume button.
Let me.
Lockheed Martin registered 3 Q. Unavailable. Submenu dialog new scenario button.
Let's go to new scenario.
Submenu dialog window.
While I'm at it here.
Change vehicle button. Change your selected.
Okay. The one thing I just want to have you show us.
Yeah. So right here, just this is a small little interlude here. For people who want to change their default scenario to something else. So like I fly an Airbus 320 all the time. I usually, if I can, will try to leave out of Chicago. If I don't, at this point so far, I've been leaving out of Boston. So if you take what I have here, you know, Airbus 320, going out of Boston.
List the available weather themes radio button. User dash define.
Tab through this interface, you have like choose your plane, what kind of weather scenario, choose your airport.
Change airport button. Change your location by selecting an airport at the start point. Change location button.
Change your location. That actually is kind of interesting. I haven't figured out totally how to spot it on yet, but you can actually put yourself in the air at certain GPS locations and stuff. So like if you have to practice a landing, then you can put yourself in a position to land so you can practice it.
Edit selected 8 select.
So there's a date. So it's asking for the
Combo box
time of year, summer, spring, fall, winter.
Combo box does collapse. Select the time period in this
What
list.
time period is it going to be?
Edit 19.
This is the time of day.
Edit 40. Edit 18. UTC time checkbox not check. Switch between UTC time left parent, Zulu right parent, and local time.
You can switch between local time and Zulu time.
Reset the system time.
Reset the system time if you want it to actually follow your system clock, which is pretty cool.
Load button. Load a save.
All right. Here's the more important things that we need. Once you get all of those factors set up, there's some buttons here. Load a scenario, which basically if you want, you can save bunches of scenarios. You know, you can have like 500, 600, 8 million scenarios. It doesn't really matter. You just save them. If you want a scenario, so I'll do this. You go into load.
Submenu dialog window. Data grid. Click to select a scenario. Prepare 3D line default data item selected. Foul weather water rescue data item selected.
So some people might not have known these are in here. So
There's a bunch.
this isn't the advertisement on P3D, but it does have other things included in it than just flying. It's got helicopters. It's got submarines.
Missing coworker data item selected.
And here's our different training scenarios that they have set up by default. Foul water rescue, missing coworkers, civil air patrol.
Okay, what kind of scenario would that be? You're missing a coworker. What would you
Yeah,
do?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Deep water search data
Deep
items.
water search, they're going to be using a submarine in that one.
Previous flight data
A
items.
previous flight. So if you wanted to actually use the previous flight that you had, so if I wanted Chicago or whatever, and that was the last thing I used, you could just load that.
KPOS-KPHL data item selected.
Okay, so here we go. This is what I have set up. I have Boston to Philly set up as an actual scenario. So if I wanted to actually go to Boston, it will put me on the runway or the gate that I want. It will put me in the city that I want. I don't have a destination city defined, but
Jet fighter time trial data items.
there's a time trial for jet.
Lockheed Martin showcase data item selected. Helicopter takeoff
There's a
and landing data.
helicopter.
Introduction to mountain flying data.
Introduction to mountain flying.
Taxi takeoff.
Taxi takeoff and landing.
Virtual reality demonstration data.
VR demo.
Pre-flight walk around dash Mooney.
Pre-flight walk around for Mooney.
Helicopter maneuvers 2 data.
Helicopter maneuvers.
Checklist and startup procedure. Eye tracking them. Checklist and startup.
Checklist, eye tracking tests.
Basics of flight data item selected.
Basics of flight. It's a training scenario.
Checklist and startup procedure demonstration data items.
Yeah, there's a lot of these.
Finding your first takeoff.
So what you do
Prepare 3D line.
is once you get the settings in the startup scenario wizard that you
Checkbox not
want,
checked. Show only favorites.
then you can, let's get out of here.
Change vehicle. List the available
All
weather
right,
themes to
so
choose
now
from.
we're
Weather
back
themes
in
radio.
the startup wizard.
User chain combo box
So once
edit 9,
you-
edit 40 edit 18 UTC reset assist load button load a saved
So
scenario
once you get your settings set up in the startup wizard that you want, there's the load.
save
Now
button
here's the key, save.
submenu dialog window edit land
You can give it a name,
edit read only C colon
give it
backslash
a
user
title. There's the path.
edit land edit enter a description for the
Enter a
scenario
description for the scenario, which will show up in the load scenarios wizard.
clear button populate with current button checkbox not check set scenario as the default
There's the key check box. Set scenario as default scenario. If you check that box, then every time you load up P3D, it will populate the startup scenario with all of your choices.
The same.
you-
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you
What
set
was
it
before that? Go back one shift tab.
populate with current button
populate with current.
What does that mean?
edit KBOS-KPHL KBOS-KPHL
It populates everything with the scenario settings. So like I have,
edit read only C colon backslash users backslash edit KBOS-KPHL KB
so right now it's set for Boston to Philly
edit read
using
only
an Airbus.
edit KBOS-KPHL KBOS-KPHL
so,
edit enter a description for the scenario blank
Enter a description, you know, I could put
TESTESTESCENFORDEMONSTRATIONPURPOSES
a test scenario for demonstration purposes.
clear button Populate with current but checkbox. Check set scenario as the
Set
default
it
scenario.
as the default.
Not checked.
You can check or uncheck the box.
Checkbox check set scenario as favorite.
You can also set it as a favorite. So if it's one you commonly use all the time when you're in the load scenarios wizard, you can always check that box that says only show favorites.
Mm-hmm.
If you uncheck the box, it shows everything you have. If you uncheck the box, then it shows only your favorites.
Edit land.
And
Data grid. Click to select the scenario. KBOS-KPHL date checkbox not checked.
Okay.
Edit KBOS-KPHL.
and then you could just
Submenu dialog window. Yes button.
override it.
Lockheed
Yes.
Martin registered 3PAR 3D registered V4 unavailable.
Now, keep in mind that when you do this, it will save everything that you've had in your simulator, the status. If you're up in the air, when you hop into the scenario, you will be up in the air. If you're in an emergency landing, you will be in the middle of an emergency landing. So
Yeah.
if you're in the middle of a belly smack and you think, I'm just going to get out of hit escape, I'm going to go save this, and no, you will be in the middle of a belly smack.
Basically, wherever you was when you save it, that's
That's where you'll be when you come back. Yep, that's where you'll be when you come back.
yeah, you might have a missing coworker, you know.
Yep.
Look for them somewhere. The startup thing, I wonder if that's if it gives you an airplane completely shut off and you got to go through the whole startup scenario.
So
I'll
you
have to
can
look at that sometime.
you can set your plane up to do that. So if you shut everything down, say you load up your scenario wizard, set up everything, go into the cockpit, set everything to a cold start, and then hit escape, go to new scenario, and then when you're in this wizard, you hit save and you say Airbus 320 dark startup. Then that's what it'll be.
I know there's a lot of us hoping someday or another at some point we will get to be able to go through that, actual whole scenario of checking everything. But there's a lot to that because every plane's a little different somewhere or another.
Not only is every plane different, the problem that we have, and we talked about this a little bit on the previous podcast, was that like the A to A airplanes are good because their checklists are in XML files, so you can easily load them into, say, a checklist manager of some kind. But most of these planes, like the Airbus, for an example, it's a freeware plane. That's not saying anything bad about freeware. But the freeware planes, a lot of times, the checklists are available, but they're only available in the kneeboard.
Yeah.
And we have no access to the kneeboard, so FSUIPC, which is the bridge between TFM.net and the simulator, that's made by a different developer. They do not give us kneeboard. It'd be nice if they could give us kneeboard, but they do not give us kneeboard right now.
I wonder if it's just because of the kind of code it is, or if it's complicated to share that part of it. There's got to be a reason, I'm guessing, somewhere, and I'm guessing just because of the amount of code and stuff that might be tied into it.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me get with Jason on that, and I can get back to you and see what he says, because he knows more of the FSUIPC end than I do. So he might have an answer to that.
But, we could, if people wanted to, and I know it's probably not, it's nothing like doing the real checklist startup, but you could set your plane up to where you could at least do a full startup on your own, set your
you could
and all that.
Yeah, so you could do a basic startup sequence, avionics on, masters on, engines on, off, all that stuff.
Fuel
you could
valves,
go through,
all that stuff,
fuel valves. You could make sure that all of your instrument panels are reading right through the TFM.net. Will let you do that. So you could at least do that part. But as far as some of the more complicated things like on the jets, Some of the jets will have like make sure the window's closed, make sure you have de-icing turned on or off depending on the weather
Test fire
conditions.
alarm and all this other
Make
stuff.
sure you
Yeah.
test the fire alarm. Make sure you test the seat belts and the smoke system and all that kind of stuff. Well, you could probably do that if you have the hotkey set up for it. But
Right.
some of the other stuff you can't do, like turn on the climate control or turn on pressurization
Yeah, there's not even a
system.
hotkey for it, so that should tell you something
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
If there's not a hotkey, it just might not be available at all. I mean, honestly.
And that very well may be some of the freeware planes may not actually have that model actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just depends. I know most of the freeware planes actually model co-pilot seating. So like, I don't remember the keyboard shortcut. I have a list of them. There's actually a way with the keyboard shortcut that you can jump into the co-pilot seat. And you can manipulate all of the co-pilot controls. So like, for an example, if an Airbus models, typically an Airbus will have 2 autopilot controls. So if the pilot has his turned on and the co-pilot has his turned off, and basically they're set up in the event that the pilot has an emergency for some reason, then the co-pilot can take over manual flight. Or if you're having a hunch for some reason that both of them may end up in problem, sometimes they'll do this in a hostage situation. They'll squawk 7500 and then they will flip on both autopilots in the event that both pilots are inconvenienced or incapacitated. The plane can fly itself completely, all the way from departure runway to touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if these freeware planes will model that particular type of scenario or not, but you can jump into the co-pilot seat.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
there is a shortcut key. Like I said, I don't remember what it is, but it will let you actually jump into the co-pilot.
No kidding. Which would mean if you're in the co-pilot seat, then you would be controlling stuff on that side.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
so in the event that the master goes kaput for some reason, then you still have the backup.
You got it. Yeah, you can jump over to the
Yep.
I wonder what that's called. If it's like jump, like what the hotkey would even be called to look for that. I
believe it would be co-pilot view. It's under views.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yep, the co-pilot view. Yep. Nice.
So but that's how you, in a sense, would save your
change.
That's how you would save your scenario. And when you're in the save, you just check it. Set as default. Every time you load up, that's what you're gonna get.
That's what you get.
Yep. So make sure that when you're in the plane at the airport, that you have it set the way that you want to start up, because it will put you in whatever situation you were previously in when you left.
Yeah, the best way to do that is just load the plane that you want to fly, shut it down if you're wanting that dark, code, whatever, and then just go save that setting.
Yep, just go save the scenario, and you'll always be at the airport that you had chose in the choose an airport set. So
listing available.
You want to move on to Vatsim now?
Yeah, we can do that now. Let's do
Themes
it.
radio.
All right.
Listed weather themes.
So let me.
User dash defined radio. But change airport.
While
Button
he's
change.
doing that, guys, just going to remind you, tap on that subscribe button, join us here at the channel. Be sure to set your notifications to always so you're notified each and every time that we publish a new video here.
Edit search by airport sys. Combo box menu models dot airport dot name index. Combo box menu models dot airport dot name index collapsed. Combo box active runway collapsed. Select your starting location. G. Gate B10 dash gate medium.
Let's go to gate B10 because all we're gonna do is try and take a listen. I'm gonna see if Chicago has anything going on here.
Checkbox check options button adjust various options. Checkbox check this. Lockheed Martin registered prepar 3D registered V4. Altimeter colon 1013 29.
Yeah.
Submenu dialog window. Lockheed Martin registered prepar 3D registered V4. 9 knots indicated.
Whoa, stop.
Number 1 ignition off. Number 2 ignition off. Number 1 fuel valve closed.
We
Arc
can
entry on.
go for a ride, you guys.
Just
man.
whoa.
That was great. It was ready to take off.
Autopilot master off. Altitude lock off. Heading lock off. Battery master off. Number 1 generator off. Number 2 generator off.
we
Auto
were
throttle
gonna
off.
go for
Rock
a
hold off.
ride.
680 feet ASL.
All right, so we're on the ground. Wait for the engines to shut down all the way. If you can't hear them kind of whining in the background slightly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Battery master active.
And by the way, you guys,
Top list.
and I know that most of you know this already, but some might not. When you get on Vatsim, if you're on there and you're transmitting and no one's saying nothing back and you're like, why is my radio not working? Make sure power is on with your jet because
Yeah, make sure battery master is on because your comms won't work.
because BVIPilot is connected to the sim. So if you really don't have that jet fired up, or at least battery on, you're not talking to anybody.
V. Visual Studio
Pretty
Code V.
much.
VPilot 38 of 39. Context open O. Move the OneDrive and open properties R. Open move the OneDrive send with trap move the drop open file locate run as administrator. Desktop list. VPilot 38 of 39. Download update. Yes button.
Oh,
Space.
I have an
Press.
update.
Cancel button.
I suppose we'll do it.
VPilot setup dialog.
New update.
Property page if you accept the terms of the agreement. Click I agree button alt plus a space. Pressed. Next greater. Property page select components to install colon. Less back button. Next greater button space. Property page space require colon. 22.6 MB browse button alt less back button install button alt space. Pressed. Unavailable. Next greater. Show details button alt plus D. Property page completing the VPilot finish button alt plus property page completing the VPilot setup wizard VPilot has been installed on your computer. Launch VPilot. Space. Not checked. Space. Checked. Finish button
Yes,
alt plus
we'll
F.
finish.
Space new notification window.
And start it up.
Lockheed Martin red talking flight monitor meeting controls row 1 cop VPilot row 1 column 4.
Alright, so let's see.
Connect.
Let's connect.
Connect as observer button.
Connect as an
Space.
observer.
Tab control. Edit lang.
Why?
Edit red only multi-line left bracket 00 colon 06 colon 11 right bracket disconnected from network.
There we go.
Why?
Quote core server denied request quote right
Updated
parent.
my VPilot while I was
Copy
at
slash
it.
v1 slash user slash 1,500 left bracket 00 colon 06 colon 10 right bracket error connecting to voice server colon post. Copy slash v1 slash user slash 1,000,005 edit lang. Connect.
Let's try that
Space.
again.
Connect as observer button. Space. VPilot. Tab control. Edit lang.
It's refusing to let me on. Why?
You run
Connect.
it as admin or
Admin.
no?
Yeah, I did. Oh, you know why?
Connect. Tab control. Edit lang. Lang.
Whoops.
Edit left bracket 00 colon 06 colon 34 right bracket network error colon. Calcin and use.
Oh, call sign and use.
Edit lang. Connect.
Okay,
Space.
let me do
Connect as
something
a-
here for really
Connect to
quick.
shared cockpit mode space.
Why would it say
Check.
call sign in use?
So this is a good point. I'm going to bring it up right here, right now. One of the reasons what that basically means that someone else is using my call sign. So when you guys choose a call sign, it basically that's your identifier to the Vatsim HEC people.
That ain't good that someone else has got your call sign.
Well, so the rule is you have to pick one at sign-in. So there's no rule once you pick a call sign, it doesn't mean that it's permanently reserved for everyone from everyone else's use.
Oh,
So
okay.
someone else could choose the same call sign that you have. So when you get online, it may tell you you can't get online because someone already has that call sign.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Social code colon. Edit blank.
let me
Type code colon. Calcin colon. Edit selected UL 801.
801.
UL 801. A L.
Let's go
UL
to
801 selected. U A L 1 9 4 7.
7.
Type code colon. Social code. Connected shared cockpit mode left parent. Observe connect button.
Let's
Connected space. Checked. Connected observe space. Tab control. Edit blank.
ha. Yes, there we go.
Edit read on messages tab
better.
selected. Controllers and
There we go.
Yeah, let's
Level
see.
1 Clee line 04 line
oh,
CT.
Cleveland's
Level 0 center
online.
expanded 1 of 7. Level 1 Clee line 0 line CTR dash.
Toronto.
Level 0 approach / departure 2 of 7. Tower 3 of 7 level 0. Ground 4 of 7 level clearance delivery of statistics of 7 level. Observer 7 of 7 level.
Well, that
Center expanded.
is
Level 1 Clee line 0.
Cleveland.
Com 1 colon. 134.
Can I hear Cleveland? No. Okay, let's do something because I know Cleveland usually
Tab control.
uses
Edit read
voice.
only multi. Edit blank. Disconnect. Space.
Let's get
Tab
out of
control.
here.
Edit blank. Lockheed Martin.
Let's
Unavailable. Sub. New scenario button. Flight analysis. Reset scenario button. Load scenario. Exit. Prepare 3. Resume button. New scenario button.
new.
Sub menu.
Oh, and you're gonna move over to Cleveland.
List the available weather themes.
Yeah.
Weather themes radio. User dash defined radio. Change airport. Button. Change your location by selecting an airport.
Change the airport. Do you know what Cleveland's
Sub-menu
cost iCal is?
Blank.
I can tell you. Hold on 1 second.
1.
Whoops, I don't want one.
1. Drop. Edit search by airport name. Edit search by airport ID. Blank.
I think it's CLE. KCLE.
You think so?
Okay, Google, stop. That's what. I mean. Okay, Google, stop. Airport code for Cleveland Airport.
I found an answer. It's displayed on your iPhone. Listen button. Results from Wolfram Alpha. Resolve. Results from Wolfram Alpha. Listen button. Resolve. Input interpretation. Resolve.
No.
Wolfram Alpha.
A C L E.
Let's try let's try KCL.
Edit search by airport. Edit search.
Yeah, I'm
Combo
pretty sure
combo
it
box
is
menu.
CLE.
Combo box menu
I'm
models.
pretty sure
Airport
it's-
name index collapsed. Combo box active runway collapsed. Select your starting location. 10. 24C.
Yeah, I think we found it.
G. Data 1 dash gate medium.
Let's go to gate A1.
Lockheed Martin registered. Prepare 3D registered. V4 unavailable. Submenu dialog window. Checkbox check. Lockheed Martin registered. Prepare 3D registered. V4 unavailable. Instruments on. Submenu dialog window.
There's that instruments thing again.
That's got to be some. Just I don't know. I
Lockheed Martin
wonder.
registered. Prepare 3D.
It might be doing that from where it's not actually connected fully, or something.
That might be. Alright, well, let's.
BviPilot row 1 column. Tab control. Connect.
Right.
Space. Connect as observer button. Space. BviPilot. Tab control. Edit blank. Edit read only. Messages tab selected. Controllers and range colon. 3 view. Level 0 center 1 of 7. Center expanded 1 of 7 level 0. Center expanded 1.
Alright.
Level 1 Clee line 04.
There's Cleveland.
Level 2 Tor line CT. Clee line 0.
Let's see if they got anything.
Tor line CTR. Clee line 04.
Okay, I'm already on their frequency. I don't think they have anything.
Tor line level 0 approach / departure expanded to level 1 Clee line 04 line CTR.
Good.
There we go. Okay, this is their traffic control.
Qantas Flight 7879 Cleveland Center, good evening. Recycle transponder squawk 5704.
5704, Qantas 779.
And if you have to sit and listen to these guys for a while to get the hang of it, go ahead.
Level 2 Clean Line 04 Line CTR-134.9.
And you know, you're new at doing the Vatsim thing. Just you can also go and look to see who's online, and then go and just listen.
Yep,
Like
that's
listen,
what I do.
listen.
Yep.
ATL Line Clean Line 04 Line C.
Okay, Atlanta came on.
ATL Line 1 Line CTR. Level 0 Center X. Level 1 ATL Line Clean Line 04.
Atlanta's too far away though.
Clean Line CTR-134.90. Clean Line 04 Line CTR-1.
Yeah, that's
Clean Line
Cleveland 4.
CTR-1.
Let's see what the Cleveland Center.
Clean Line 0.
Let's see what Cleveland 4 has. Oh, come on, why aren't you?
Clean Line CTR-100.
What's the difference?
Tor Line CTR- Clean Line CTR-134.9004. Clean Line 04 Line CTR-134.9002.
Oh, the
Qantas Flight 7879, radar contact 12 miles southeast of the Litchfield
Level 2 Clean
vortex.
Line 04 Line CTR-1.
Qantas 7879, all confirmed. Thank you.
FedEx 9041, leaving my airspace to the southwest. Chicago Center offline, radar surface is turbidate, frequency change advisory, appears. Good night.
the FedEx.
Unicom, FedEx 9041, XQT.
I believe this is the same guy that was running Chicago last night.
Clean Line CTR-100.
Say that
34 Line
again. What is
CTR-100.
it?
I think it was the same guy that was running Chicago last night.
Oh, okay.
Level 0 approach slash.
Yeah.
Level 1 Clean Line 04 Line C. ATL Line 4 Clean Line.
But it's pretty dead tonight.
Yeah. But just when you guys are not flying, just get on the Vatsim. And you don't got to fly. Just connect as an observer and listen. Just listen.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is what I'm going to do for you
Tab
all.
control. Edit red only multi. Edit land. Disconnect.
Disconnect.
Tab control. Edit land. Connect.
We're gonna do this. I'm gonna connect live and request a radio check.
Tab connect. Space. Connect as observer button. Connect to shared cockpit mode. Space. Not checked. Self type code colon. Calcin colon. Edit select dual 1947. Type code. Self connect. Connect button.
Say connect.
Space. VPilot. Tab control. Edit land. Disconnect. Mode C. Ident. Flight plan.
Flight plan.
Flight type colon. Combo box IFR. Departure airport colon. Edit select.
Cleveland Center, good evening. This is Echo Charlie 1986, looking to pick up IFR clearance into Lakefront.
C. E. Destination airport colon. Edit
Echo
select.
Charlie
KMIA.
1986, Cleveland Center, clear to the Burke Lakefront Airport,
Ultimate
run the
airport
Allegheny
colon.
9 departure red
time
vectors,
colon. Edit
Elwood
selected
City,
030. Time now colon. HHN select. Fuel available. HHN select. Cruise speed colon. Cruise altitude colon. Spin button. Heavy aircraft checkbox not checked. Equipment suffix colon. Combo box W. Route colon. Edit multi remarks colon. Edit multi route colon. Edit multi.
Alright, clear to the Lakefront, Lakefront Airport via the Allegheny County 9 departure. Maintain 5,000, expect 10,000 10 minutes after. Departure with you, squawk 5716, Echo Charlie 1986.
Edit red on left bracket 00 colon 17 colon 05 right bracket flight plan 5.
299 Illinois 28, call for taxi.
Okay, so I have a flight plan file that we're ready to see for radio check. Good evening, Cleveland Center. This is United 1947 requesting a radio check.
5 by 5.
Thank you. 1947. So there you have it, guys. I mean, it was simple.
Edit land. Disconnect. Space. Tab control.
It was simple, but it was a radio check. You know, that's all there is to it, really.
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin registered 3R3D.
All right, and he gave me the 5 by 5, so I knew that I was cleared for that.
Anytime they say that, that means pretty much you're good. That's what that means.
Yep, pretty much.
Unavailable. New scenario button. Flight
First time I
analysis.
ever
Reset scenario.
connected,
Load
I
scenario.
didn't know what, you know, I'd
Exit
asked for
3R.
a radio
Lockheed
check.
Martin registered. Yes button.
They said 5 by 5, and I'm like, what does that mean, guys? And they
Yeah,
told me
and
that's
you
what it
can-
means.
Yep, you can ask them that if you need,
Start button.
if you get stuck.
Because sometimes, and I'm just going to tell you guys this just so you know, if a controller ever
Flight
comes
monitor.
on
Primary tab control.
and
Pages
they
combo box
say,
ADF.
they say, please disconnect,
Monitor.
you're hot.
Desktop list.
Okay. If they ever say that you're hot, that means that your mic is staying keyed up. It's not disconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever hear the word hot, disconnect and figure out what it is, because they will get aggravated real fast on that one. And I can understand, because you're getting in the way of other broadcasts, and it's not good. So
One column one.
if you're ever hot, disconnect and figure out what the problem is.
Yep. So I think that's about it for me. That's the simple basics of Vatsim, simple basics of TFM.net.
Yeah.
A little bit of sample air traffic control, a live radio check. So
You guys can expect in the future we will be doing more podcasts with Jason and with Andy here. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast. You can find this on Apple, pretty much any of the podcast platforms. We are there. If not, we're headed that direction. For example, I just sent in the request for iHeart, so we'll be available on iHeart Radio as well. Anyways, Andy, I want to thank you for coming on, doing this video with us. I really appreciate it. The more that we can do for people, I think the better. And we encourage any of you out there, if you're visually impaired, even if you're not visually impaired, you want to be a part of flying, we're always here to help people. So, Andy, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this with us. And until next time, you guys have a good night.
all righty.